All right, I think we should probably get started, right?
Rock and roll. By the way, I have something I want to do before we do too much.
Really,
It's
right out of
time.
the gate?
Yeah, I do. It's important. There we go. It's time. I just gave you my monthly free subscription to a channel.
Oh, thanks,
That's
buddy.
right.
I
Yeah.
really appreciate that considering I haven't done anything all week and I'm dying inside, but not from the
Still my
normal like existentialism, just like
still my favorite streamer.
I really apologize to everybody. Oh, thanks. And Bethesda just gave me a Skyrim pack. Everybody's
Really?
showering me with gifts. Yeah, already.
You know, during the podcast yesterday or the stream yesterday with Pete, I got the first time I'd ever gotten three arena tickets for a Twitch drop. That was kind of cool.
That's one of my favorite ones to get now.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I used it
I
today
got
for
like 30.
Nice. So that's special guest Ray Barker. He's joining us today. He's got 30 arena tickets because apparently he doesn't play arena.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't as much anymore, but thank you for welcoming me. Hello, everybody, and hello, Justin and Charmer.
Yeah, it's great
How
to
are
have
you?
you back, man.
So
Doing
like,
good.
To be back.
like Justin, I need to get my apologies out of the way right from the beginning. I miss everybody. I hated missing the majority of this week, both in terms of like content and interactivity, but like this is the sickest I've been since I had swine flu, and I'm also going to apologize ahead of time because there's probably going to be the occasional sniffles or me doing weird stuff, just because I still like have a low grade fever even sitting here, and I'm trying to just survive because this is a very exciting, very awesome podcast that I did not want to miss for something like influenza. So
And a couple things. First of all, Charmer and I learned that we've both had swine flu, which is kind of a cool connection.
yes,
Because the
You've had it before.
the United States
too.
has a third world fucking health system. Nice, man. That's great.
yeah.
That's
it
great.
Was, oh, it was
Did you
so horrible.
It was really painful. Did you take Tamiflu?
I took lots of things. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I was in hospital for most of the time. I don't properly remember, but I remember it sucked.
Yeah, I was living on the streets, but I got so sick that I went to the ER, and they were like, you got H1N1. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but that is actually a requirement for how you join our gang. If you want to be one of the Banish boys,
Nice.
you have to get swine flu.
That's right. We are the Banish boys.
We are the Banish boys.
We got to give Ray a quick shout out too, as being the only guest who ever had a reasonable enough time here to return for a second show.
So far, yeah.
So far.
True. Well, I'm going to give you guys a shout out. Thanks for having me.
No, it's always our pleasure, man. You're definitely one of the most interesting deck builders in the Legends community by a significant margin.
Interesting is a good word. I like it.
That's what I go. That's what I go for, man.
Immortal King says that he got the Heine, as I called it, H1N1 in 2010, and I honestly think that might have been.
Yeah, I think that's when I got it too.
Mine was like 09, 010-ish.
Yeah. Oh, 10-ish. You must have had it bad.
That sounds about right, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So somebody asked if we knew about the what they call it, the Madhouse expansion last week, and to that I can only say, of course we did. Madhouse came out in 2016, so
That's
yes,
right.
we knew about the Madhouse expansion last week.
Yep.
This new thing, we don't even know what the name of it is, so I don't know how we could have known the existence of it ahead of time.
Well, should we come up with our own kind of working title for it?
I've been affectionately calling it the Forgotten Hero Collection because the promo piece that they released, that they slipped Justin, said something along the lines of, I forget the exact wording, like commemorating the path or the memory of the Forgotten Hero or whatever, right? So, I'm sure...
The choice of the wolf or cast down.
I'm sure if I pull up the image on Reddit here real quick, I can quickly...
Is that the one where you have to choose whether to take the wolf or take the good card?
Oh, you know what? So I hashtagged something Forgotten Hero, and I think the Elder Scrolls Legends Twitter retweeted it, so maybe
Oh.
they want the hashtag Forgotten Hero.
It's kind of funny.
But-
The
yeah,
image that's on Reddit that Justin shared has the bottom part cropped out.
Yeah. Yeah, the physical copy I have is a lot more obvious.
Yeah,
about
I was
that.
gonna say I remembered it from his YouTube video, and so like I know it says that in the back. So like I don't know what the actual title is, but I've been kind of as a working title calling it the Forgotten Hero Collection, like the Madhouse Collection is called as
Right.
such. So
Doesn't seem like there's a public announcement about it yet.
Oh,
not yet, but
I
I'm
guess
really
we're
excited because if
pleasantly
we're
surprised.
Yeah.
if we're
Well, you know,
revealing
us-
cards, it's got to be close. There's only 12 cards, so.
Us banished boys are always getting in trouble, so if we find him, we'll throw it out there for y'all.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, the card's got a certain, I suppose, flavor to it, I think, in Elder Scrolls, I suppose, timeline, I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have something to show everybody today. Something pretty exciting.
Yeah,
terms of
there
analysis.
is that. Well, and even just, if we want to take a moment to, I guess, like, make a brief departure, right? Like, when you're looking at the art on the image, it's all stuff from, like, throughout the pieces of what we've played in the game thus far, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's art with the dragon, there's some clockwork-themed stuff, there's the Raiders art, if you remember from,
Yeah.
closed beta.
The thing that's still available as a deck image, I think.
Correct, right? So this is stuff that doesn't... The one guy looks like a graybeard mentor, right? And then we had the troll. So it's not like you look at this and you think like, oh, there's a distinct like theme here. Not that you did with Madhouse either, but
Yeah.
like it would make sense if this was just a Forgotten Hero collection, kind of spanning all of our theoretical exploits thus far.
Yeah. I mean, because the Forgotten Hero is, the Elder Scrolls character you play in all the games.
Well, not in all the games,
Yeah.
just in Legends. Like it's the Legends protagonist.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm thinking like in Morrowind and in Oblivion, you're like some dude, right?
Yeah.
You don't even have,
The
just
prisoner.
some dude. Yeah, the prisoner. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, in Skyrim, you're the Dragonborn.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We're quick shout out. by the
Prisoner
way.
also, you don't find that out till
Yeah.
later on. Spoilers.
Shout out, by the way, to The Prisoner, which is a fantastic show from forever ago.
Shout out to the movie Prisoners that I really enjoyed with Hugh
Is
Jackman.
that Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Malibu Barba says, them banished boys always causing trouble for Boss Hog. I'm going to say that them banished boys is always causing trouble for Brahmin Hog.
I have no idea what's going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
so let me catch you up. Here in the United States, Ray, we had a
Yeah.
television show where two redneck racists drove around a vehicle with a Confederate flag on top. And
It was like the #1 show for years.
Are you talking about that documentary? What's it called?
Yes, in so many ways, yes.
It is a documentary, yeah. That's the Dukes of Hazzard, is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We had it here. We had it here.
Yeah. That's what the American South is like.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, I never really took to the show, but the song is banging, I think.
Oh,
That's
the
true.
song is great. Waylon Jennings has that down, but I gotta say, it's not just the
Rest in
South.
peace.
It happens here in rural Michigan. In fact, I would put our Michigan militia up against the Deep South any day when it comes to scary.
Does it come from... Is the show based in Michigan?
No, I'm saying that you can find Confederate flags even way up here.
Oh, dude, there's a guy down the street from me who has the "Don't Tread on Me" thing and a
No, the
Confederate
show takes place in Hazard County, of course.
Well, shit, I didn't mean disrespect them good folks down in Hazard.
It's
I'm sorry, Ray.
it's
No, it's all good.
Trevor and I haven't
patrolled
talked
by
in a while.
Roscoe
We gotta get this out.
P. Coltrane.
Do your thing. Do your thing. I'm just happy to be here.
We're happy to have you.
Delvorius is a Youper. Sadly, I am a troll. Here, I live here. This is how everybody in Michigan does their Like, I live here, whereas he lives somewhere up here.
Shout out to anyone that doesn't live in the United States and has no idea what's being said.
Yeah. Well, one of the great things about being living in the United States is that you forget that the rest of the world exists.
Yeah, fair.
So,
Awesome. That was all.
Before we dive right in,
yeah.
let's try to rein it back in. Let's take Ray Ray's skills and abilities and put them to use. Let's softball it and talk about the gauntlet before we talk about more juicy stuff, so that people get a chance to pile in. And,
Absolutely.
We have a gauntlet. It is the Noble Gauntlet, aka the Scuddler Cup Gauntlet, and I've heard, again, I'm dead, so I haven't played, but I've heard that it seems to be a lot of aggro decks floating around, but I wanted to know what either decks you played, or what are some alternative decks that you would recommend to people who don't want to play aggro.
Is that at me?
Yeah, man, you're smarter and better at this game than both of us.
I've been calling it the Nobler Own. I know it doesn't like rhyme, but just like the way it says. Yeah. I hope that's not a chocolate that's only in this country.
No, Toblerone is great. Yeah, I mean, I haven't ever bought it here, but I had it when I was in Germany.
Sick, relatable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like I started off basically just looking through the whole collection and just noting what cards were enabled entire archetypes. You know, like there's a lot more like item cards in blue, for example, and both of the Dres creatures at 4, and way more token and well, not way more token enablers, but more token enablers like Bruma Profiteer and Fifth Legion and whatnot. And I kind of just went through everything, like, you know, did the scout thing. Deck has the 2 best shouts, and tested that for a bit. And I think the thing that, like, on, you know, the first day that it was announced, that seemed to be the best was like a lethal archer kind of thing.
Okay. Taking advantage of Archer's Gambit and the Scorpion and stuff like that.
Yeah. Scorpion freebooter and yeah. But I was just I did one run with it. I just found it to be really quite boring. So I played Casino Battle Mage, and that was heaps of fun.
Sweet. I might have to give that a shot after this.
Yeah, the Skeevers.
How do you feel about Market Archer? Because that's what I wanted to play had I not been dead.
I didn't look at it, to be honest with you.
Because I looked at the list and I didn't see anything missing that was dreadfully important. All of the main pieces are there. And with epics out of the way, the only support removal tool in the format is Vicious Drag that I would not expect to see. So I felt like even in that scenario, you weren't going to be stuck having to hold all your supports until like the turn you wanted to go off. If you've got extra magical lying around, you could likely play them pretty comfortably. And I felt like it had decent anti-aggro tools, like just traditionally between the Skavens and things like that. And so I thought that could have been a lot of fun, but then I spent like a week in bed or whatever, and I haven't played, so.
All right.
Yeah, being sick sucks when you're just like not able to do anything. But I can't believe I forgot Market. I went to like even like Shackle Assassin and stuff like that, but I forgot Market.
That honestly, Ray, that was my reaction too when he mentioned it. I was like, wow, I had no idea Market was not an epic.
Yeah, and it has a great name. It just gets called Market every time as well. It's called Swindler's Market, which is amazing.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I agree. So I did one run so far. I went 5-3 with just a monk deck that I wanted to play. I built it like in 10 minutes on Friday because I didn't know what the hell we were doing on the Bethesda stream, and I was like, Pete's probably gonna want to do the noble testing thing, you know, and It was all right. You know, it went okay. It was just kind of boring. You know, like at the rare and common rarities, like there's not a lot of cards that do a whole lot of interesting stuff. There's some, but I like to play with my really esoteric, unnecessary cards, and those are mostly epics and rares.
Sure. So where did you get your fix for that in Monk? Like, did you get Chanter in there, or what are we talking?
What did I end up running? No, I just went for pretty straightforward sellout, boring stuff. Just a lot of removal, shouts, and curving, like topping out the curve with Phalanx Exemplar and Shearpoint Dragon.
That card is so good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
I agree.
You know, I don't. It's never going to have a Reddit rage thread about it. Actually, you never know.
That's true.
But I think it's getting close to, like, just based on pure stats, almost an auto include in yellow decks. In my opinion,
it's very strong. Especially since it feels like the game has been trending more as the card pool expands towards more, and especially since the nerfs to Scout, like towards more of like a curving out best stat line per Magicka cost is what you include in your deck kind of thing, and it fits perfectly into all those decks.
Yeah, it really does. I feel like there's, I mean, like the four cost 5/5 troll that got revealed.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Spell Sword feels like the most boring class to me, but
yeah,
there kind of already is, you know, like with a mid-range deck, but like, you know, Spell Sword, like big dudes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Spell Sword. I didn't even think about the new troll in Spell Sword because Spell Sword was already home of the million 4-drops.
Yeah, and yeah, I just don't enjoy the class. It's like,
I don't mind it. I just prefer other ones.
Why is it there?
Well, obviously in Spell Sword, and in any deck that can run yellow, you're gonna choose the new monthly wolf creator, right? Right, Charmer?
I have not yet done my video, but spoiler alert, no, I'm not a fan.
Are you gonna play the song "Hungry Like the Wolf"?
I probably won't because of copyright issues, but as soon as I'm feeling better and I can record my thoughts in a semi-coherent manner.
We can't step on the 35 cents that this video is going to generate, Charmer, over the next few weeks.
No, it's mostly I just don't want to derail this into me going off about the Elsewhere Lookout without boobs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's crazy because I think this card gets +2/+2, which is ironic.
It is a little bit ironic.
Which one are we talking about?
We're talking about the new card that we are going to reveal. That's what we should be talking about.
As in us.
Yeah.
That's right. We the three of us have a very exciting card, and unlike the troll, which is just a pile of stats, that admittedly very strong pile of stats, this card is going to see play in decks where it's doing something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, it has very interesting implications, and
yeah,
I haven't really sat down and thought about them yet because I only found out about it 15 minutes ago.
That's because the high quality of production we have here at the podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because then we get a genuine reaction. You know, we can do it in real time.
That's true.
Absolutely. So, Justin and I were both kind of tweeting some hints about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, I tweeted my meme that had no context about, you know, a lot of times players will say Piercing Javelin is broken, and I would play it without the prophecy, to which Direwolf said, hold my beer.
That's right.
Do you wanna tell people what the attribute is, Ray? Which one we're showing off from the pictures?
Absolutely. So it would suck if I had the wrong one here, but does it start with a Y? No. Hang on.
That's a color. Sure, it's the yellow one.
Dude, I still sometimes struggle to remember what color each attribute is, like what their title is.
Oh, Ray,
Yellow.
Ray, I don't have the willpower to keep from coughing when you make me laugh like that, man.
Oh, so clever.
Oh, that's peak dad joke.
I know.
Yeah. But like, I think the hype is real with this card. It is a willpower. It is a willpower card.
Yes,
And
it is.
so what happens now? We go next. Like, can I reveal that it's a unique support?
I mean, you can, but you would be wrong.
What a fucking twist, dude. What card does Ray have? Did we send him the wrong picture?
What a
Because that's not just a dragon, is it?
It's not just a dragon. No. But you know, it's funny because the Banished boys are kind of big on banishing boss dragons.
Yeah, we are.
and I think this card is going to further our mission to pull one over on old boss Hog.
People said, look, we're tired of these dragons in our walls,
Yes,
eating our food. They're pests. Yep. We want them banished. And we went, okay. We got you some banish. And you guys went, well, but what you actually got us was tusked bristleback. And we don't like that. To which we said, okay. Fair enough.
Boss bristleback.
Fair enough. We should probably get another way to banish things. So
we gotta step up our banish game.
Do we want a drum roll? Wow, Ray does the best drum roll.
That was pretty good.
Thanks.
All right, here we go.
Let's see it.
Boom.
I hate that there's a delay.
Cast into Time. It is a 5-cost willpower action. And it says banish a creature. And all creatures from its owner's deck with the same name as that creature.
That's right. Yeah, this is gonna see some serious play. Yep, banish from play.
What's the first thing that comes to mind for you? Like, obviously, it's competing with, with Piercing Javelin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Support mage is what comes to mind for me. Support. I think this card, marginally improves the support mage versus Rage Archer matchup.
Yeah.
Okay,
the very first thing I said to Justin is really interesting.
Defang's Journey.
Between the wolf and then this card, I said to Justin, sometimes I think they balance willpower cards around making all of the good stuff cost 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Well, if this was any cheaper, it'd be insane. And 6.
I agree.
No, 6 would be too much. 5 is right.
I agree. I think 5 puts it into constructed playable.
Yeah. So you said support mage before, and you're thinking against Rage Archer. Would that kind of go across most like slow deck matchups, or?
Yeah, I think that just kind of like hitting your Marak at the right time in the yellow control versus yellow control matchup can be huge. I think hitting the right targets with Cast into Time. I think the existence of this card is going to create a lot of new tension in the control on control mirror.
Oh God.
This is what I was immediately.
Will it lead to more conceding early in control mirrors?
Dude, I hope not. I like playing 30-minute games.
So there's some things to note here, right? The first is that it hits a creature and then everything in the deck. So it doesn't touch hand, right? Just like Black Dragon. But what's interesting, and we did not get any information one way or the other from the devs, is, and I think this honestly, in my opinion, makes or breaks how well this card finds its way into the meta, is whether or not Banish triggers Last Gasp. This is the first time we've had Banish from play, and if Banish doesn't trigger Last Gasp, I will play this just to not have to take 5 from a Sower of Revenge all day long.
I think it does.
I'm leaning towards it not doing that.
I think that if it's good enough to stop Sower, then it's good enough to see play. And then if it does still trigger Last Gasps, then it's really questionable.
So like Swords to Plowshares, essentially. Like
exactly. Yeah, I would guess that it does not trigger Last Gasp.
Right. Because what does Tusk Bristleback say on it for Banish? Let's get the exact wording up on it.
It
shall
the bristleback just banishes stuff in the discard pile though. This is the first time we're banishing something that's in play.
Oh yeah, I know that. I was more just trying to get the exact wording on it so that
Like what the reminder text is for banish.
My suspicion is that it won't trigger Last Gasp just because this is a game that's developed by a lot of old MTG pros, and if you've played Magic the Gathering, I imagine banish is going to function an awful lot like exile does in Magic. And in Magic, you can destroy a creature or you can exile it, and things that are exiled do not touch the graveyard and thus do not trigger any of those effects.
I agree.
And so I imagine it'll be the same thing, but again, like, there's enough good Last Gasp creatures. I know I've been running House Kinsman again in my assassin builds. I know Sower of Revenge has certainly risen in popularity with Warrior as of late. I know that Eclipse Baroness in certain matchups is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Even Tazcad, like, yeah, Tazcad still does 6, but that's a big blow to Tazcad. I think that if it doesn't trigger the Last Gasp like I expect it not to, this card is certainly playable at that point for sure.
I mean, just off the top of my head, right? Like, I want to hit Sower. I want to hit Eclipse Baroness. I want to hit, in some situations, I want to hit Cauldron Keeper or the 2/4 for 3. That Sport Mage uses. I want to hit, like, there's just so many good targets.
Tower Alchemist.
Vigilant Giant, Tower Alchemist. Something that got Galand.
Yeah, okay. So problematic creatures in matchups. Like, I'm thinking if my Markov Bannerman got hit by this and I was playing Merrick, I'd be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'd have to, because so the keyword is just removed from game, so it's not associated with destroy at all. So I'm coming around to it dodges Last Gasp.
Right. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
It's also worth noting that this is almost strictly just a control tool, right? Like, your mid-range mage doesn't want to give up the potential free javelin off of like a Fate Waver or something in favor of this. They don't want the game to go long enough where you're going to run into the other ones. This is, it's like Justin said at the beginning, I think this is probably like a support mage thing. This is for control mirrors where you're trying to make sure that something isn't going to get, Journey to Sovngarde.
Right.
So are you thinking you'd run it as like a Actually, no, I won't frame it as a question. I'll add to the discussion. I'm thinking like either a 4th or 5th javelin that kind of has extra utility, leaning more towards 4th, the way the metagame is at the moment.
Yeah, in some metas this is a lot better than others, but in some metas I think this is javelins 1 through 3.
Right. Okay. So like I'm at the moment where it's very, very mid-rangey, a lot of big creatures coming at ya, and absurdly greedy control decks.
Yeah.
Somehow. Where does it sit on that spectrum for you?
I would say right now it's a 2 of alongside Piercing Javelin, right? Because like even if you steal 1% of your games with Piercing Javelin Prophecies, I feel like the meta is balanced enough around a limited number of decks, but balanced enough that that 1% increase in your win rate is going to be worth it over cast into time. That said, like I feel like this really addresses some of the weaknesses that a deck running Piercing Javelin just as a control tool, never to clear a blocker. This really benefits those decks because of the way it combats Last Gasp. I believe combats Last Gasp, and not incidentally impacts future journeys.
Yeah, or Soltaire's other kinds of recursion. Like who was it? Griffin mentioned banishing Giant Bat, which in that particular matchup, perhaps not that not super useful, but it does take it does have that application.
Yeah.
And there are decks that rely on doing it exactly that, and
Yeah.
I think it'll be exciting to see where it goes. You know, not like earth shattering, world changing kind of card, but unique.
I agree.
I wonder if you get to look. It wouldn't. It would just remove them all for you, right?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's like Magic where you get to search their library for it.
Yeah, totally. And it doesn't. It doesn't. Of course, doesn't take cards from their hand. That would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, well, to be honest, I wish it would hit the cards in the hand as well. I mean, I think it would cause more. It would cause some serious feel bad moments, and like I'm glad that from that perspective they didn't. But as far as like what I want to do with this card goes, like look, I mean I have a pretty good win rate with support mage against almost everything except like Journey, and I feel like hitting Eclipse Baroness with this is going to be one of the most satisfying plays I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, I mean that's the sort of thing you want to hit in a control mirror, right? Again, this is for me like it's a control tool. And it's for mostly likely control mirror stuff like Baroness and Parthenax, or like I said, the Sower of the Revenges, the things that are meant to like really put the intense pressure on you. Same thing like if you've managed to survive like even roughly with half your health against Sorcerer or something, and you can pick off like a Bone Daddy with this. Or something like that, right? Like, if you can pick off the finishers that you know your opponent's running multiples of, I think that's helpful. Yeah. But again, I honestly can't imagine a scenario where you need to play this more than once or twice a game. So unless something changes and we get to an ultra greedy meta, I can't imagine running this as a 3 of right now. Unless I'm missing something, I think this is a 1 or a 2 of in most cases that you want to run it. And then even then, it's, again, like... I would picture this as control mage or control monk as a tech choice as like a 1 or a 2 of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, because like people are saying drawing a comparison to Memory Wraith, and I think it's better than that because like 5-cost 5/5s are always just that, but a removal spell, in decks where they're not going wide, can be great. It's like hit a house, Carl.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
I agree. I like it. I like too. So, and I've said this before in this podcast. Like, I like when there's a real choice to be made, like at a casting cost, right? Where it's not like, well, I'm running Hive Defender at 4, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I like that. In my opinion, it is a real choice. Like, do I play Cast in Time? Do I play Piercing Javelin? How many of each do I run? I like those kinds of decisions, and I like the fact that it's going to be contingent upon what you're seeing a lot of, right? So let's say that you're at 1 rank, and by the way, I'm not in frame, but
yeah, I know. I'm working on it.
I can move.
I got your fam.
Okay, good looking at. Anyway, best shot of Justin.
Us Spanish boys got each other's backs, man.
That's right, brother. Anyway, I just like that you can pick the 5-drop removal spell that suits you, and I think having that kind of option makes for more interesting deck building experiences.
Yeah, I agree. Is there any situation you can think of in which a deck that's not slow, a non-control deck essentially, is playing it?
Yeah, I mean, world. I mean, like, I can imagine a world where that would happen, like a world where Last Gasp Assassin gets the tools to be the craziest deck in the game, and you need to screw up their altar chains. Absolutely.
I was thinking like maybe like higher than rank 11. Yeah.
So I know we said it before, but
no, I kid.
I get it. I understand.
I still see
that one missed the mark.
I still see mentions of bats in chat, and I know that a lot of people seem to have PTSD from that, but I think you need to remember that I don't think you run this in a deck that needs to take care of the bats. I don't think this is an aggressive card, and if you're playing a control deck, like 7/7 draining giant bats aren't necessarily your problem, because like you're not they're not needing to gain health, so they're not bringing back their bats. They're bringing back their Baronesses and their other things. Like, I don't think that this ends up being the kill the bat tool.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you still might do that. Like, I feel like, I mean,
Well,
I've
like-
mainly been I've more been on the scout side of the coin lately, but like just killing control mage with charge creatures is certainly not a bad way to go about things.
Yeah, I mean, hitting what's the 5/4 orc with charge that usually has charge? I think hitting that
Headhunter.
Headhunter, Warlock Headhunter is a totally reasonable hit with this.
It's our forest.
Yeah, but so
Right.
here's the part you have to remember, though, right?
You know.
It
Yeah.
will only remove the one that's in play and then the ones from the deck. It does not
Right.
touch things already in the grave, right? So if somebody
Sure.
plays bat number 1 and they crash it into something early, right? So they play the 2/2 and they crash it. And they play another one later and then they crash it. And then they start
Yeah.
doing this stuff. Like, there's a good chance that this just doesn't get you the value on a bat. And if they're already at the point where they're playing 7/7 bats, then like they've already hit you for 7. This doesn't stop the 7 charge either. Like, I just feel like this is not the tool for stopping bats any more than it is.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, it's not unreasonable, right, to hit a bat with it in the right situation. But
Mhm.
the minute your opponent even has an inkling you're playing this card, like, their first 2 bats get charged into your creatures and they go to their discard pile, right?
Yeah,
And they safely assume you're not running this and the blue bristleback.
right. I'm not gonna say here's what I'm trying to get at, right? I'm not gonna say you're never gonna use this on a bat. I'm saying you
Yeah.
should not put this in your deck solely for bats. I think
I
that's
agree.
the wrong
I agree.
method. It is a Galen counterplay. So Mac Milanov, God, I can't talk. I'm so out of it.
Yeah.
In chat says Galen's counterplay. That is legit. If you pay close attention when they play
Yeah.
Galen, you can usually see which card they highlight in their hand when they're going through the selection process.
Yeah.
If you wait for them to play that card and then nuke it, it will nuke all of the buffed copies from their deck. It is very much a Galen counterplay. Whether or not that matters, who knows? But in a control mirror, sure, that probably does. Especially if they're copying Parthenaxes or something silly.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
does give you information as well. Like if
Yeah.
only one extra card gets banished, for example.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, count
Alright.
the cards
is
in their
this person
deck.
only playing 2 of X, or do they have 1 in hand? Or
Right.
I think there's some utility for it there, and I am fond of creating people, but I missed who said it, but someone brought up, do you ever want to banish one of your own creatures?
I mean, I can imagine situations, right? 4 cards left in deck. 2 of them are not the card you want. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not an impossible scenario.
Sure. Well, I suppose the most important question is that Alduin? I'm
In the
pretty
art,
sure
I would
it's-
assume so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. You know, I just realized, was it AJ who, like, a week ago sent us a message about, like, get ready for dragons? It's because
Yeah, but he was just high as shit. I don't think he was talking about TESL.
Well, and I mean, because we got the Dragon Orc card, I was just thinking.
Yeah, fair. Did he? Did he say that?
Yeah.
See. That's cool, because yeah, that's something I'm looking at in terms of, like, you know, speculating about overarching flavor, I suppose, or theme. For
Right.
the
So
set.
far we don't have one, right? Like the other car is what, Blackreach Troll or something like that.
Yeah.
Blackreach
it's-
is in Skyrim, so there is that.
Is it Blackreach? Let's see. I'll open Reddit.
I think it's Blackreach Troll. Blackreach, by the way, one of my favorite places to hang out in Skyrim.
Lake Coast Troll.
Flying Eel asks the most important question, which is, can you banish face? You can, just not with this card.
What the fuck? Oh, Bleak Coast Troll.
Yeah,
Alright,
Bleak Coasts.
let's see where Bleak Coast is. Bleak Coast Troll.
Because I'm thinking that it's potentially like
Bleak Coast is in Skyrim as well.
how to explain it.
Yeah.
You know, like those like I like in MTG they have like masters sets kind of like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
where it's like iconic kind of cards from what have yous.
Yeah, I agree. That would be cool. Years from now when we have a bigger set, bigger pool of cards to have a draft format that was just like the highlights.
Absolutely. And if you look at in Skyrim, the sky, the way it's got like the constellations and stuff.
Yeah.
I might be going a little deep here, but I can see like behind Eldon, the shimmery stuff in the sky. I have a feeling that's gonna look sick premium.
I agree.
So
Maybe I can see the rocks and the ground swell kind of looking cool too.
So somebody asked if there was a release date yet, and somebody said something about there isn't a name yet. So we did some hard investigative work. I went and I asked a bunch of questions on your guys' behalf.
He did.
This is my my list of questions, all for you guys, right? All right. So here we go. We had. I feel required to ask if we know the official name of the set, the release date, does it accompany any new game modes like Madhouse did? Do we get bonuses for pre-ordering? Do we know the price in money or gold? And we have some answers that we would like to share with you. So here you go.
Some pretty sweet answers.
Yeah, and by we, I had no part in this.
And that was it. So feel free to share with everybody everything.
Yeah.
In case you missed it, here, let's go ahead and let's cover that again.
I can't believe we just revealed all the cards in the set.
Oh, sorry. I'm told there was a technical difficulties screen that popped up. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. I'm sorry.
The full spoiler's not coming up?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to work it out next time.
Okay, that's too bad.
You got Bethesda.
Yeah. In all seriousness, I would say it's safe to assume the expansion comes out in 2 weeks or less.
Yeah, I mean,
really?
There's only 12 cards, and they've already shown 2 of them. Pete said on the Bethesda stream with Justin that they likely will not show all the cards before the release.
Yeah.
He also said that there was a chance it would be released before he even streamed again.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when the next Bethesda stream is.
That doesn't say much.
Well, he usually, I mean, Pete's usually pretty consistent with his streaming schedule.
Yeah, he streams most Fridays.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, I withdraw my remark.
Well, that's just, you're always watching the Spanish Drop guy, man. Like, you got to change channel once in a while.
I am the Spanish Drop guy.
Dios mío!
Exactly. L drops.
El Dropo.
Yeah. So I will say that there's a bunch of cards still left that I want to know what they are. I told Justin when I saw the image that there were a number of things that were jumping out at me, even without any additional like info or context. Like, seems entirely benign, but that 4/4 neutral for 4 that looks like Greybeard Mentor stands out to me a ton.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, like, normally your neutral cards are, like, weak or understated, and that's the most reasonably statted neutral card I've seen in a while. So if he has any text that's at all, like, interesting, I'm already intrigued.
4/4 is super interesting in neutral. I mean, like, really interesting to me, honestly.
Yeah. We don't know what the rest of the stats are, but a 2-cost agility Argonian that has at least 3 attack, without seeing the text, interests me a lot. And obviously uniques are gonna like probably do cool stuff, so there's hype there. But the other one that stands out is the 4-cost neutral support. And you know it's a support because you can see the band. So I'm really curious what kind of like neutral support we're gonna get as well. So
Yeah, me too.
Well, that's quite interesting because for people that are newer, so for example, I wasn't around when Madhouse was released. I obviously can't speak for everybody, but I imagine there's a few of us out there.
Yeah.
What was the environment like, before and after?
That's a good question. It was the second age of Legends open beta because it was post Histgrove.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the environment back then.
Yeah.
The environment back then was Control Mage, Archer.
Yeah, Control Mage, Archer.
There was a pretty viable Action Assassin. That was actually at the time when Prophecy Assassin was still floating around. So before Prophecy Battle Mage was a thing, Prophecy Assassin ruled the land.
A lot of Ramp Sorcerer, even though it wasn't a great deck.
And then Hissgrove Scout. Those were pretty much like your meta. And then Madhouse Collection released, and we got Chaos Arena as well as part of that update. And afterwards, the only thing that started to see a little bit of play, and I say a little, was Orcs, and there was some like item experimentation, but I want to say it was legitimately like a month, almost a month and a half before like real experimentation hit, and then
was it that long? Because I think like I feel like in January of that year I hit Legend 6 with Ultimate Monk.
I didn't think that was...
Or was that February?
I thought that was February.
Okay, that must have been February.
Because I think that people were trying it, but, like, I guess I should say that, like, it wasn't that experimentation wasn't happening, but things were not refined. Yeah. And then after people had time to, like, refine it, then you started seeing, like, Alter Monk popped up, and that was really popular for a bit, and then CVH popularized Item Sorcerer, Market Archer started floating around, there was... a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of
stuff.
Well,
what was like the best of these? Like, was there anything that was like a standout? Because like, I mean, Orcs. I can't imagine playing Orcs without Stone Shard Orc, like that thing.
Yeah, I mean, nobody played Orcs until Stone Shard came out. I mean, like they played them in closed beta for a lot of reasons, but since then, nobody played Orcs until Stone Shard. In fact, the very first cosplay video I did was in January or February, playing Orcs with that card.
Okay.
Yeah, because Orcs didn't have like the tempo required to be played back then, and there was other things that occurred. I think people forget there was other things that occurred with Madhouse. It wasn't just the release of the cards, but Morkel Gatekeeper didn't used to have Prophecy, and with that update, they gave that Prophecy. They gave 1 extra health to Rothgar Artisan. They did a bunch of things to try to...
Artisan.
Yeah, it still doesn't see play now, but...
It does. Along with other things that probably shouldn't.
I was a big advocate, actually. I remember talking about this a lot back then for giving Rothgar Artisan Prophecy.
You know, if it was still the old version without the extra health, I actually think that would have been fine.
Yeah.
It's a 2/3 that gives a creature +1/+1 now.
Yeah, it used to be a 2/2.
We Own the Sky asked if there was any words on adjustments coming with this expansion. Yeah, I can go over those in detail real quick. Are you ready?
Yeah, this is all the information that we've been given that we're allowed to share.
So pretty much everything you see on screen, that's what we can cover.
All right. Some pretty extensive stuff on there. I mean, make sure you tell your friends. That's all we got. I mean, like, and that change in particular, the one on the top left, that's insane. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I was trying to do was kind of get an idea for what that was like historically for someone who wasn't around for it, you know.
So it was. I mean, I look back on it as noteworthy because it was the first time that that Bethesda reached out to the content creating community. And they gave us all the week before it came out. This is how we got spoiled. Like they revealed like half the cards, and then they gave some content creators beta access to their beta servers
Yeah.
with new accounts, and we got to play Chaos Arena and screw around with the new cards for a while. Like that's how we discovered the Burn and Pillage nerf, right? Isn't that you figured that out, right?
I think it was me and Bradford Lee, because him and I were both combing through like everything. We learned about Burning Pillage nerf, and there was something else. I'd have to go back through the Reddit thread. I was literally updating them like while I was live.
And fun fact then, at E3 last year, that's when there was the Legends presentation, right? With
E3 was when we got Heroes of Skyrim announced.
Where Pete got up and there was that big video they showed and stuff.
Yeah, that was
okay. The screenshots of CVH and I playing are from that preview event with Chaos Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we got to play with Bethesda and Direwolf people.
Yeah.
Who was good?
Turns out Maricon's pretty good.
Yeah, Maricon beats the shit out of us all the time.
Yeah, he's pretty good, hey?
Yeah, but we, I don't know. I mean, I had a bunch of 7-win runs, and then I just, the accounts they give you have like 20,000 gold on them. So I just kept trying. I just kept trying over and over again to draft a monocolor deck, and.
Oh yeah, I remembered all the gold. We had like a ridiculous amount of gems too, and I feel like I crafted only premium stuff. Like I burned through all of my crafting materials, and then I didn't have enough to make the deck I wanted to test, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, so as far as like what the meta was like, it was. We were 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe even into open beta. They had stopped doing recently the paying professional Hearthstoners to stream the game, because I think they stopped doing that in like October or November. I'm sorry about the cat. Yeah, it's that time of night.
Yeah, no. One, I'm happy that the cat has finally made a reappearance on the cast. And two, I was just laughing because you said Hearthstoners, and it made me think of something else entirely.
Yeah, we can't talk.
I've never heard the term before.
Hearthstoners. No, look.
What's the collective noun for a group of Hearthstoners?
Hearthstonei.
Pretty sure Hearthstoners is the collective. It's like it's like Moose and Meese.
That is Malacat. So Sandra's out of town. I'm home alone, and Celine likes attention around 10 o'clock every night. So that's why she meows during the podcast.
That's cool. I like cats.
Me too. She's our dog. We don't have kids, so we spoil the shit out of that cat.
Me neither. I'd get a cat, but kids, not really my thing.
Yeah. Same here, man. I'm not big on kids.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, no, I was going to say, anyway, so, like, the game was in a little bit of a lull, and, like, Madhouse came out of nowhere, like, they announced that something was happening, and, like, they revealed some cards, and then a week later we were playing the preview events, and then, like, 2 or 3 days later, the entire set came out.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they announced it was coming out on a Thursday, and they ended up releasing it on Wednesday.
Yeah, like it was a very fast timeline. That was our first experience with what I would call the Bethesda marketing experience in general.
Right.
Like I've always like known that they do this from their other titles, from their single player titles. Like if you follow Bethesda, it shouldn't be any secret that they don't like to announce things until they're so close to being finished that they could just demo it to anybody. Like it's just the way they operate. And I know that that's very weird in like the CCG market and things like that, but it's just how they've always done things. But it was my first first-hand experience where they literally they sent us an email, and then like less than a week later the expansion was out and we had done a bunch of stuff.
I feel like Charmer, you and I might have been talking on Twitter about like, did you just get a message from somebody and you're like, I don't know if I'm being trolled or whatever.
Yeah, I think I told that on the podcast before, where like when I got the email from Scapes, I had to track him down on Twitter and confirm it was real because I just didn't believe it, and I was definitely talking with Justin.
By the way, I feel like last January we were talking about starting a podcast.
Yeah, no, it was probably about that long ago. I think it was shortly after Madhouse when we had our very first discussion about we should do a podcast, and then it took 10 months later.
And I think because I think around that time I started writing articles like that column that I wrote for Between the Lanes because I just wanted to do something else. Yeah.
So it's this is the immediate future. Like this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
next season will be affected by this.
Absolutely. No doubt in my mind it's out in February.
Oh yeah, there's barring some sort of catastrophe. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that there's no way it's not released by February because nuclear holocaust is a thing. Meteors are a thing.
I'm guessing nuclear holocaust more likely than meteor at this point.
I don't know, man. It's hard telling.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, both would be bad. That's my comment on that, I suppose. I think
Well, we bring you in for that hard-hitting insight.
anytime. Anytime. I suppose though, I'm a bit just like I was thinking like, a month or something, but
No. Yeah.
that soon is
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Yep.
I'm a little taken aback, surprised.
It's gonna be
Pleasantly.
exciting. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Because it's the best time to play in the ladder. New shit comes out, people play new stuff, and it makes old stuff that isn't tier 1 that much more viable for a few days because people are playing new stuff that's not tier 1. It's just a great time to have some fun on the ladder.
Right?
Yes. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Sick. So, what are there any spots in the game? I mean, I know this is a bit of a not out there, but a bit of like a wishful question. Like I feel like you guys have pretty solid sense of intuition. Do you feel like there are any holes that need to be that could do with filling at the moment? Any gaps plugged?
I mean, I certainly feel that's the case, but that's the sort of discussion between a man and his wife. So, in terms of legends, yeah, I mean, I think there are certainly more things that need to be explored. We've barely touched on like discard pile manipulation, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot more transform mechanics. One of the episodes of The Forge that I had drawn up a long time ago, but I never actually put it into video because I was having a hard time with the editing process to articulate my train of thought. But in Magic the Gathering, there are creatures that have like levels on them, right? And as they level up, they gain new abilities. And I really liked the idea of having a cycle of cards, one per attribute in Legends, that had, think like Treasure Hunt, right? But instead of Treasure Hunt, it's like requirements to level up. And there's multiple versions. So like the first is like you play the cheap level 1 version and it might be like equip it with an item or something, right? And then once it's equipped with an item, it keeps the stat buffs or whatever, but it becomes the level 2 version with a new set of requirements. And it might go up through, I don't know, 3 levels, 5 levels or whatever. And it would be like this idea of taking an Elder Scrolls hero and leveling him up through gameplay, right? And you could use the transform mechanic to like represent those changes, and it would be cool if there was a cycle of them for each attribute, and each one like represented the things that stand out about that attribute, if you will. I always thought that would be kind of a cool gimmick. 3 levels is probably enough. I don't think you want to make things too complex, right? So just like you play a cheap level 1 guy, he meets some requirements, you get a level 2 version, you meet second steps, and it becomes like a badass or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of people in chat saying like kind of like Delphine. Absolutely, but I think that
but playable.
Yeah, I think that Delphine is also like really cool, and she was a great first step. But I think that Delphine was obviously made before we had something like Treasure Hunt, where we get the like little check marks, right? So like to me, that was always what was missing, and that's what when I was trying to do this for my episode of The Forge, I was trying in my head to work out like how they would represent meeting the steps for the level up thing. So I think that needs to be there. I think that they need to do something with our personal player level again. We've talked about in my Discord and here in the past and whatever, either upping the level cap, doing a prestige mode, If they do another expansion giving us more like cards we unlock, because like let's be honest, like when you first start this game, that was one of the things that I thought was really cool and felt very Elder Scrolls-y, right? Like I'm progressing like through the Elder Scrolls,
I
like
agree.
leveling up, and so I think that could be leveraged a little bit more in terms of gameplay
Like,
mechanics.
RPG it more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, as far as like where the future of the game's going, though, I mean, like I think the future of the game is the in-game tournament client. Like that's what's next. That's the thing they've talked about the most that hasn't happened yet.
Okay, because so I feel like I might have missed part of the conversation there. Like, what's there that's being worked on that you know about? Or
Here,
from your
let me put everything up on screen that we're allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
We know that from the discussion that Pete had with us when he was a guest on the podcast, that he had talked about one of the burdens, one of the steps like required before that, we could just like call this an esport. And I think AJ talked about this too in his interview with Justin. So if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it. Is that you can't just like call something an esport, but there are certain things that just like you don't really think about but have to be there, right? Like being able to spectate but see both players' hands. Even our spectate mode now, for example, if I'm spectating somebody and they play like Moment of Clarity, I can't see their cards that they're choosing between, stuff like that. So having, an in-game tournament client where people can organize the games, issue like brackets, do that kind of spectating, I know is something that they have...
registration.
Deck registration, yeah. So those are things that they have publicly mentioned in the past that they want to get as hurdles crossed before they take that next step and that next evolution. So if they're talking about it publicly, then I can only assume it's because it's on their list of things to be working on.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because I feel like that particular point I had missed that was something that was, publicly stated as a goal.
Yeah, I think that our podcast was when they spoke about it the most. Yeah.
Because I asked the question, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Maybe my memory is not as good as I think it is.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
I only have a sharp memory because of the intense flu meds that I'm on. I've got pinpoint mental accuracy, as evident by my losing streak last night. I tried playing a handful of games on the ladder because I hadn't played all week and I missed it, and it went horrible.
Nice.
What did you play?
I mean, just like my standard stuff. I ended up getting back some ground on Tempo Assassin, but I was doing really well on Mid-Sorc, and by really well I mean I'd get people to like closing out a victory and then just get wrecked. I was playing against Nerazuri, for example, and he was on this like mid-range battle mage that just also runs Merrick, and I basically get him to where I've got him dead to rights. He's like dead the following turn, and he drops Merrick on a full lane that Dragon masks his Merrick, and it gives like stuff in his lane guard and shackles my stuff and like just blows me out with that high roll. And it was like that all night. Like I couldn't buy a break, and between that and not being able to think straight, like I think I played 10 games and then called it, and I was just like I can't do it.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So I made some ground back on Assassin because that deck's still really good. I mean, I think that the decks were still performing fine. It was just me not really being with it, combined with some bad breaks, and it was sometimes you just got to know when to call it.
Well, you probably you probably didn't get the ring enough.
Well, yeah, I mean it's 100% that the ring is OP.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I like to get other people's perspective on like not only like what they're playing, but kind of what they're seeing and how they perceive the metagame.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is interesting to me. Although tell me to shut up if I'm derailing.
No. Dude, there's no way to derail this show. It's literally impossible.
Well, that's good to know.
We've talked more about Legends actually this episode than we have in months.
Legitimately the truth, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, when Frank Lepore was on, we talked about fucking Justice League for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Joe Trader says further proof that Nera is the best Merrick player. Hey, listen, I wouldn't even be comfortable talking about that ass whipping publicly, except for Ian Bitts went to use the restroom. He was live. I wasn't. I was just hanging out because my head was killing me. And
Yeah.
I wasn't playing on ladder, and then somebody said something about, why aren't you trying to get to number 1? And I was like, alright, so like I haven't played in a week. Maybe I should try to make like some progress. So I start playing some games. Ian goes on break, so he decides to spectate me. So it's actually on his stream. If you want to see my absolute ass-whooping high roll, go see Ian Bits' vodcast from last night. And I can't tell you the timestamp or anything, but you will witness a murder. It was a disgusting high roll. So,
You know, actually, that reminds me of the last thing I wanted to talk about. That's Legends related this week. I really enjoyed watching last Sunday's Elder Scrolls Championship Series tournament, and I know Ray, you had a huge part in putting that together.
Yeah. Me and Ian Bitts were the primary architects.
It was one of the best Elder Scrolls Legends tournaments I've seen in a long time, and I thought like it was cool to see new names in the community doing well. The last match against CVH and Valerie Cried, that series of games was just like super entertaining. And I mean, I think it was the first time I've seen a live Legend stream beating the drop farms in a long time.
that is always good. There's another one in 12 hours.
Is there really?
Yeah, December season.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll be in class all day tomorrow, but I thought it was an absolute blast to watch. But you know what I found interesting? I took all 3 of the decks that Valerie played in the finals onto the ladder when I was streaming on Monday, because I was like, I want to try these out. And when I was playing them, what I realized is like this was like some serious like metagaming, right? Like these were decks that were designed to beat the expected field in the tournament, and I really appreciated that like the tournament came down to 3 really strong like meta decks that CVH was playing, and 3 really like teched out choices to fight against the field. And I thought it was just a really great clash. It had all the makings of just like a classic tournament for any game.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't had time to watch it back, but I remember I do remember watching it at the time, and just the general vibe, the atmosphere. People seem to be enjoying themselves, and yeah, I would echo your sentiment that it was a good tournament. Not in terms of like praising myself, but just the players, the decks, the casting. The casting was great.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I thought it was wonderful. Hey, Yum Yum, I would post that link if I knew how. Did I fix it?
I got it, and no, it wasn't. It wasn't that one. Yum Yum.
I can see the
That's
link.
the one where Ian rolled it. This is the one where he was spectating me, so Ian would have been AFK, and it's Nerazuri who rolls me.
Well, as a huge fan of like watching esports, like I want to say, Ray, like great job, Ian Bits as well. Great job with for everything you did for that, and it was really nice to have the Elder Scrolls Legends Championship Series back.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you. It's nice to be, thanked for things like that. But like, I just want it to be there. I want tournaments to be there, and it was good to, not more than anything, but like one of the bigger things was there was as you said, it was beating the drop farms. That people cared more about that than 50 soul gems, maybe. And actually engaged in chatting. I think that's a pretty good way to measure something.
I agree. So, we're all playing Wolf Tribal next season, right?
No.
The fuck's wrong with you, Charm?
Sorry. I'll take a hard
I'll be-
pass.
I'll be busy thinking about that smooth segue for the next month, I think.
Yeah.
I'll play Wolf Tribal when Alpha Wolf is meta.
That's
So,
fair.
see, we've got the wolves.
Yeah.
So let's what's it called? Do the thing. Let's fuck English.
Theory craft?
Entertain it.
Is that the
For a
word
sec,
you're looking
yeah.
for?
It wasn't. It was like take it more seriously than one otherwise would. I can't think of the word for that right now.
Sure, yeah. I can appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So there's young wolf.
Yeah.
There's alpha wolf.
Yeah.
There's new wolf.
There is.
So there, and there's the support, right?
And,
Right, Wolf Prison.
And you're forgetting the most important wolf of all, like the only playable wolf right now.
What's on?
Reflective Automaton.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was gonna say like the fake wolves the real wolves and then the fake wolves.
Yeah.
That's the
only-
realest
that's
of the wolves, because that's a wolf in wolf's clothing.
Well, is that a good boy as well?
Well, of
No,
course
he is
he's a
a
good
great-
boy.
It's a great question.
Well, that's good.
That's good. Yeah. Look, I mean, I feel like I hate to take this seriously for a moment, but I feel like the most likely way to pull off a win with those cards is the same way you try to win with all janky monk cards, which is by just shoving Master of Thieves and Thieves' Den into your deck and hoping you get lucky.
So like the animal deck shell, I guess. So I guess it's just a mid range deck, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get too interesting. I mean, what about that card by itself in a deck, like as a creature that attacks and gets value over?
This
over
is
turn?
what I said to Justin before we went live today. I said,
Mhm.
"Are you really excited for the bigger daring cut purse without prophecy?" Because when you have nothing else on the board, no interaction,
Mhm.
cut purse is a 2/2 for 2 that grows by half its size in terms of stats when it hits somebody. This is a
Sure.
4/4 for 4 that technically grows in stats and size by half when it hits somebody. Now, granted, it is split across 2 targets, right? So they'll have to potentially deal with it multiple ways. But it also doesn't have prophecy, and that's it. So unless you already have something on the board to take advantage of the passive stat gain, it's a pretty mediocre card. And if you're having something on the board, then that means that you have to play with what are likely some pretty suboptimal cards in order to take advantage of it. I'm not saying you can't win with it. Ian's been winning with Animal Monk, but I think that's just on the strength of like mid-range Monk in general as of late. It's not necessarily that like it's the animals are super sweet or OP or anything. It's just like Ian's a great player and mid-range is mid-range. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
The card by itself, like, I don't even think it's the in the top 3 4-drops in that attribute. And so
Sure.
like at that point,
It's
like
pretty stiff competition, to be fair.
right, and I mean it would be much better in some other attributes, sure, but
What are we looking at? Like, I know Cloud Rest and Hive Defender. Are you looking Black Dragon as your next one?
I mean, yeah, I would think Black Dragon's
Yeah.
probably better.
Yeah.
I don't think it counts because it's
Sure,
Yeah.
it counts.
a
It's still a
unique
4-drop.
card, right?
It still
Sure.
competes.
So
Certainly,
that's 9 auto includes.
Rift and Lawkeeper, I think, sees some play, but I wouldn't see play in the same decks as this. That's for sure.
No, it certainly wouldn't.
Look, I like it just because, like, I mean, look, like, I understand it competes for like a slot that's super occupied already, but I mean, the power level is high. I mean, this is a card that makes more cards. It passes the vanilla test. 4/4 for 4 is reasonable. Like, I like this card. It's good, but not good enough, I think. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't be in the future, or that we're just a little bit of pilfer synergy away from something.
It's better
What if
than
it got the
Quinrall
what if
Burglar.
it had the what if it had the Blood Magic Lord upgrade, where it was summon and pilfer?
Then it would be incredibly strong, and it would need to cost at least 5. There's no way you get
Yeah.
a 6/6 worth of stats for 4 that also has pilfer upside.
Yeah, it reminds me of doing that would make it remind me of the power level of the old Skywatch Vindicator.
Or even like Solrus Marshal
Hey.
territory, like old
Yeah.
Solrus Marshal.
Yeah.
Okay, Vindicator used to be good, did it? I missed things, it would appear.
Well, when he says like old, he means like closed beta Skywatch Vindicator territory.
Oh, was it that long
It
ago?
was that long ago. I don't think public's ever seen that one.
My bad.
No, you're fine.
God damn it, dude.
But yeah, like it's just
How did it look? Are you allowed to talk about it? I don't.
Almost certainly not.
yeah, I don't know like how the NDA works after the fact sort of thing, but
Yeah.
we're always extra careful just to be safe. But yeah, like I mean, it's a 4/4 for 4, and it's got upside, so it's not bad. I'm not calling the card junk. It's certainly great in Arena. I would love it there. It's an Arena powerhouse. In many ways, it reminds me of like a cost-effective like Bone Colossus, right? Like it's still something that is a threat that might leave bodies behind, but even then, like Bone Colossus's strength is that it's on summon and not pilfer.
Yeah.
You know, it's better than Quinrall Burglar just because of the cost. The biggest problem with Burglar is that you spend 6 for it, and then your opponent spends 4 to bolt it, so that like they gain Magicka tempo. Whereas with this, you spend 4, they spend 4. You're not necessarily out anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, you're saying it's not very good.
I mean, I think that people will play it, and I think that it will inspire people to play with it, but I don't think that it's going to be meta-shaping, defining, impacting at all. I think that it'll be really good in Arena.
What do you think the least...
I love that that's become almost a pejorative, like, when analyzing a guy, people are like, it'll be good in Arena. You're like, oh, okay.
That's
Just say
true.
it's crap, man.
What do you think the least powerful, least impactful monthly reward card has been? I mean, I have my answer, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I don't actually know what they all are, to be honest.
The least impactful?
Yeah.
I only know the card pool as it exists. I'd have to what are they?
Let me see if I can find a way to organize them. My answer is Battle Reeve of Dusk.
Yeah, I mean, Battle Reeve of Dusk was immediately what I thought of, but the only reason I started to pause, Justin, is because at least that caused people to experiment.
You know, the first day of the new season when that card was released, I hopped on the ladder to record a game with it, and I beat CBH.
Yeah, Battle Reeve of Dusk is not good, but it also inspired a lot of experimentation. I think people forget about that first like two-day window. 2 days was like all it got, but there was like the first 2 days of the ladder, it was nothing but like random keywords all over the place.
Oh, hang on. No, this is a high elf. This gets used in Thelmore OTK. This is already seeing play.
What? Fair enough.
I didn't know Stampede Sentinel was a monthly reward.
Stampede Sentinel is the reason I built Midrange Crusader all those months ago.
Okay, you can't be damaged by actions or supports.
Yeah.
So Dark Rift can't hurt you.
Battle Reeve of Dusk is awful. Conjuration Tutor sees some niche play because of how it works with Altar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit.
Elsewhere Lookout's also up there. That's actually that's what I was.
Elsewhere Lookout, not good in Arena. Or anywhere.
It's not good in Arena because you can't pull it off, but I'll say this. I did more experimenting with Lookout than I did with Battle Reeve of Dusk.
Yeah.
Because I was desperate to try to get a YouTube clip of letting it survive for a turn and then putting something like Dawnbreaker or Heirloom Greatsword on it.
I've had it in the 30s before. It was good.
Yeah.
but like the hundreds of ranks it's cost me trying to replicate that,
Yeah.
it's just not worth it.
My man, dude, I love hearing shit like that.
It's good.
So Smuggler's Hall sees it's not an unreasonable pick in Arena, and it sees play in some swindlish market
It
decks.
used to see a lot of play. So back when Action Assassin
Yeah,
was a legit deck, that was one
Yeah.
of your finishers.
I agree. Char's Breeding Pit sees virtually no play.
Was that a? I would feel ripped off. That card stinks.
Char's Breeding Pit?
Well, yeah, because I've never looked at these cards grouped like this before. Like in
Yeah.
the collection manager, you click on
Yeah.
promotional.
When you click promotional, it shows you Madhouse Collection and the monthly reward cards. It's weird.
Because like Dushnik Jarl is low key goat. Like
Yeah,
It's not even
It's
low-key
super-
good, it's really good.
it's super
Yeah.
good.
It does a
Yeah,
lot of
it's-
things you
it-
want it to
it-
do. It's an orc. It's
I have this-
got utility, it pings. I've killed
I
people
have-
with it.
I have this theory about Char's Breeding Pit, actually, which is that when Char's Breeding Pit was designed, there was a time when like Char's Reaper was played on the ladder, and I have to wonder if they don't design ahead far enough that Char's Breeding Pit was designed in response to that, because it came out like May of last year, and Char's Reaper was played on the ladder like in the fall of 2016. That's my theory.
It's only one of two 10 cost actions, isn't it? They're both in agility. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's real bad. No, it's not. It's not that bad, but
It's much better with sheer point.
Yeah, that's true. It's not awful. I can imagine a world where it's better than it is now.
was that the question? Like, which one's been the least impactful?
Yeah. I think the answer has to be Battle Reef of Dusk.
I don't know.
I've seen it in play. I've seen it in
the
play more
breeding
than
pit's
Protector
pretty
of the
up there.
Main.
Because people didn't even
But-
experiment with Breeding Pit.
Yeah. That's
Breeding
true. You know what? I recorded a video hyping it up, and then my fucking computer died the next day. That was when that happened, I think. Yeah, that's true. I won the first Elder Scrolls Championship Series tournament with Char's Reapers in my deck.
Awesome.
Yeah, there was a time when like Felon SD Reaver used to be considered a staple in Archer too. I mean, it was usually just like as a one of, but
Yeah.
But
What
it's
else we
like,
got?
because like I have to turn on Soul Sight because I've dusted like all the bad ones because I prefer premium commons than like owning epic monthlies that I'll be used.
Heroic Rebirth, I remember, was a cause of quite a lot of consternation in when it was released.
yeah, I'm still angry about it. I get more
People-
angry as time goes on because it gets more random.
I won 2 games on the ladder with that on Monday.
Yeah, I've had quite a lot of fun with it too, to be honest. Like I wouldn't say it was.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
not good. But
It's not part of the A team, but like if you have the support set up, it turns out like an endless stream of legendary creatures is actually pretty sick.
yeah,
I've definitely had some good times with that.
it's cool though. I had to say, looking through all of these monthly reward cards, like I feel like these are all cards that I tried to build with, right? And that means that once a month, like I'm engaged building new decks, and I like that. I mean, you mentioned Protector of the Main. Protector of the Main was a huge presence in the meta for a while because it came out like same time that
Control Monk was everywhere.
Right, because it came out like within a week of Eclipse Baroness coming out, and Control Monk took over for a while.
Yeah. So Maricon speaks up in chat and gives us a little developer insight. He says agility has Magicka reduction, but at the time not many high cost cards. So Breeding Pit was meant to provide another high cost option. In other words, trying to sneak in ways for cards like Thieves Guild Recruit to be relevant. So that
cool.
That makes sense. He says it was to help solidify what attributes are about. So that there is your developer insight.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by, Maricon. Thanks for answering that.
Yeah, likewise. That because that's something that I actually really do engage with, coming from like a Magic background. The class and attribute just identity, what they do, what they do,
Right.
and whatnot. Because is there anything that kind of breaks that?
No, they've done a pretty good job in my opinion.
Yeah,
I really like the division of that's one of my favorite things about new sets coming out. And I think we've talked about this before, is seeing what abilities are divided. What new abilities, when new abilities are added to the game, are divided amongst what colors.
Griffin Gasp asks if we spoiled the entire set tonight. We did.
Yeah.
I'll put it up back on screen again. Are you ready?
Yeah. Go ahead and show everybody the whole set again.
So this is an image of everything revealed.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering.
It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. It's riveting.
Yep.
Take your screenshots now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm told again, I don't know why it keeps happening, that people are seeing a technical difficulties, please stand by screen.
That's weird.
Which is weird, I apologize, but we'll try to get that sorted out.
It's probably the Russians.
Yeah.
I can't imagine difficulties and this podcast even being in the same sentence. That's just...
You weren't here last week when my computer blue screened and shut it down.
I forgot about that.
I was.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
I was enjoying myself.
Good question, Nasdaq. Maybe Maricon can sort it out for us. We speculate that it will negate last gasp effects because I imagine it will function similar to Exile versus Destroy, but we haven't been officially confirmed.
Right. This is pretty clutch on whether or not this card is going to be as good as I want it to be.
Yeah. Given the Magic the Gathering pedigree of some of the developers, it would not shock me.
Yeah. Oh, Kaniak says he was able to see the set. So maybe it's a localization thing. Like, your country might be blocking broadcasts from the United States. That makes sense. I know that we have a lot of German viewers, so maybe Merkel and Trump are still fighting.
Come for the TESL, stay for the political jokes.
We try not to get into it, but like every week we can't help ourselves.
It wouldn't be so, like, I'm not even really what I would consider like a huge activist, but it's just so easy. Like, it's not even...
Yeah. I feel like I owe it to the world to demonstrate that I am not in line with my president.
Oh, I mean, actually, no, I'm not going to go there. Assassination jokes are way less funny.
Yeah, especially since we have to live in this country, man.
Yeah, because like the only...
Have you seen the videos of what cops do here?
Yeah, I have. Because like in Australia, we don't have presidents. We have prime ministers, and only one has ever like died in office. And he went for a swim and just went missing.
Really?
Yeah, there was speculation that he'd like joined communists and all this other stuff. Like got picked up by a submarine. It was quite a time, like 40 years before I was born.
We've had 4 assassinations and like 8 or 10 attempts
that we know about.
Right.
It's pretty good innings.
Yeah.
Sick.
Good times.
So, I guess we should. I mean, we've been informally doing it, but I guess we should officially hit the hard-hitting questions from the audience.
Yeah.
I can start off with Hunding. Well, it's Australia. Things just kill you, don't they? Kinda. There's a lot of things that can kill you.
Yeah.
I generally just like do my best to not get killed.
Solid advice.
Thanks, man. Cheers. But yeah, the interactive part is dope.
That's why we're here, for the people. Yeah, any kind of questions you guys got, just, don't pick up random spiders. That's pretty sound advice. My cat kills the spiders that are in my house.
Swooping season. Yeah, that wasn't framed as a question, so I won't go into it. But it's a horrible time.
I remember your story. That's about the birds, right?
Yeah.
Where birds, winged demons. Like, I still definitely flinch whenever like there's any kind of squawking or flapping or
Yeah.
anything bird-like overhead.
Yum Yum wants to know what situations or imaginary cards would make you play cast on the time on one of your own creatures. Okay, I mean, there's the easy one that I mentioned earlier, right? Like, you're playing Assassin, you're at 6 life, your opponent has 4 2/2 creatures on the board, and you control a Daring Cutpurse. And your library is 4 cards, 3 of which are Lightning Bolts, and 1 of which is a Daring Cutpurse. In that case, casting in the time your Daring Cutpurse is the right play.
Yeah, but didn't
Yeah.
you just say that you're an assassin? So how are you playing cast into time?
I got it
college.
up at Telvanni Arcanist.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
shout out to the Adventures of Dust. He said this earlier, so I want to make sure he gets full credit. But what he had proposed was that you play Dragon Mound, and then you cast into time all of the bad dragons, so you only draw the good ones left in your deck.
It's good advice.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that you can't do it on Dragon Mound and your decision to play it, but a card can only do so much.
Dude, on Friday on the Bethesda stream, Pete and I did an arena run, and I was super nervous, because like I cannot help myself and will pick the weirdest, dumbest cards when I'm drafting an arena, right? Because I want to win one game, right? But because I couldn't help myself, we picked Dragon Mound, and then we picked 2 Rune Archaeologists, and we picked a treasure map because I was like, we're doing this. And we ended up going 7 wins, but the 2 games we lost were the only 2 games where we played Dragon Mound.
Huh.
Yeah, it's great.
It's almost like it says an awful lot about Dragon Mound.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I honestly can't wait for, though?
Yeah.
I can't wait for...
Christmas.
No, I'm not at all a Christmas fan. I can wait
Okay.
all...
Me neither. I just
I
had you pegged as a
want a
Christmas
big pack-based Oblivion expansion with lots of Daedra, and I want a neutral card that's basically Dragon Mound but for Daedra. And then I want like a custom game mode where you can play Dragons versus Daedra, right? Like think Hearthstone Tavern Brawl style thing, but it's like that for Elder Scrolls. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I agree. That would be pretty cool. And yeah, Caniac, I agree. Pete's a great player.
That sounds real elaborate. I hadn't thought that far ahead. That is cool. I'd like that too.
Yeah,
I think I just. There you go.
So one of the things that Yum Yum had asked as well was what kind of imaginary cards would make you want to do it. So it would be kind of cool if they had some sort of like parasitic thing, right? Like maybe it's a support card or something that like gave you benefit for banishing your own cards, but then they also threw in some stuff that was like deal 1 damage for every card of your own that's been banished so far this game or whatever. Then in those instances you might want to like cast into time your own creatures. I'm just thinking out loud, right? Like fun stuff like that they could do in the future where
this was an imaginary situation.
Yeah. He said what kind of cards or imaginary cards, right? So if I'm just like throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, I could see something where banish. I could legitimately see a point in the game where banish ends up being a lot more commonplace just in general, especially as we talk about like a Plains of Oblivion style expansion and like banishing Daedra and all sorts of stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if at some point we see a support card that says something like, if you have no cards in your deck, win the game.
A laboratory maniac.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that could be...
Yeah.
You know what else would be just interesting? If Banish does become more commonplace, it would be kind of cool if they had like a soul net thing, right? Where it's like if a card of yours would be banished, instead put it in your discard pile or something. I'm just thinking about like other future Banish interactions if it were to become more commonplace, ways that you could interact with the mechanic.
I think what this game really
sure.
needs is a Chains of Mephistopheles support card.
You know what this really needs? It needs Ensnaring Bridge, but for the Shadow Lane or something.
Let me cut and
It
paste
really doesn't.
the rules text of Chains of Mephistopheles into chat and see if anybody understands what this does.
You know, it sounds kind of silly, but like Ensnaring Bridge could never happen in a traditional existence in this game, right? Because of the lane format and because of the power of the card. But if you were to purposefully always limit it to one lane, I could actually see an Ensnaring Bridge style mechanic working. And if you guys are not familiar, Ensnaring Bridge is an artifact from Magic the Gathering that said creatures cannot attack you if their power is, I think it's equal to or greater than the number of cards in your hand.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is that in Magic, you could forcefully keep your hand size small so that things couldn't attack you. But in this game, what's interesting is with the rune mechanic, the more you attack somebody, the more cards you feed them. So you do kind of give them this counterbalance. You give the player who's supposed to be like choked by the card, if you will, a way around it, which I think is kind of interesting. And because of the 2-lane mechanic, I also think that there's a lot more room for balance if you were to say like only the field lane or only the shadow lane or something. So I think that could some version of that I think could exist.
Because there isn't really like a discard outlet either. Like if you've like overdrawing is a very real concern. I don't know about you guys, but a lot.
Yeah.
There is an interaction that this may be ordinary to some, but it blew my mind a little bit. You know the green support hidden trail.
Yeah.
Cost 4 magicka. It's like friendly creatures get +1/+0. All field lanes are shadow lanes. I didn't know that the summon effect is that lasts forever. Even if the support's destroyed, all lanes are shadow lanes.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. You know that I learned how that card worked a while back because it actually saw some play right before Dark Brotherhood came out.
Okay, right. Like a monk tokensy kind of thing, maybe.
Something dumb and aggressive.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Suppress, cast into time. Firedrake, you can't cast Suppress on a fucking Iron Atronach. If you're trying to silence it so you can target it with cast into time, Suppress is not the card to use.
Because are there any combos with it? Like, is there anything two card that you can do with it? Not really.
Cast into time? Not really.
Is there any card that puts a card from play into your deck?
Oh, we talked about this when we tried to figure out when we tried to figure out how to turn a sweet roll into a creature with Mechanar. We figured out ways to put cards from our hand into our own deck with Galen, but I don't know that you can put them into your opponent's deck.
Yeah.
Cast out, or what is it? Close Call and Galen can put anything into your deck, but you can't put cards into your opponent's.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can barter it to them, but they have to decide to do it.
I know I've said it before, and I know that the card is crazy powerful in a game like this, but there is a part of me that still wants the one that's take target creature and put it on top of your opponent's deck. That card has to cost like 8 or something, because that is brutal, but...
I'm gonna make a huge
Tempo is crazy.
I'm gonna make a huge leap here. That I think that the next pack-based expansion will include some kind of sub-theme, at least a couple cards that put cards on top of players' decks. I feel like that's the inevitable evolution of the Prophecy system. because there's so much interesting tension with the prophecy system and the rune system and the ability to put cards on top of people's decks. I just think it has to happen sooner rather than later.
It's either that or something with like rune replacement.
Yeah.
Well, because we got a start of it with Clockwork Heart.
Right.
So that design space has been explored.
Yeah, I meant rune replacement in terms of the effects, like
right,
like traps, like the
fire rune, ice rune type things we talked about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Like the spells in the Elder Scrolls role-playing games.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. The flavor works. I wondered how would that work? Like, if it gets broken, like it would deal an effect, like a fire rune would.
Well, like the fire rune, like let's say replace your next rune with a fire rune, and the fire rune says that and usually when a rune breaks, like you draw a card, and if it does prophecy, you play it. Instead, if a fire rune breaks, the source of that damage takes 5 damage. Say.
Yep. So like it blows up in their face.
Right.
That'd be cool, and it's so much easier to implement through a digital media as well. And Immortal King said ice runes shackle creature. Yeah, I was trying to think of something icy.
Right, you could have like a nature rune that curses them, right? Like that would be the agility version.
Yeah, I was thinking that or finish off, but I think curse is probably.
I think because curse, like finish off means they would already have to be wounded. Curse makes sense, and it's in the theme. You could also have the endurance one would probably be more expensive to play, but it would mummify whatever hit it. And willpower is probably destroy, but it's also again probably more expensive. But it's one of those like. You're going to get piercing javelins, but they can then exploit that and hit with the 1/1 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Right, but I was thinking it would go wider but less damage, kind of like Fireball or Firestorm the lane, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean you could do anything. I think that the possibilities are endless there.
So I don't want it to get lost. Nasdaq asked earlier, question for the interview. What's the first deck you tried to make premium?
I've never done that.
Shocker.
Yeah, I soul trap all my premium cards.
You're a monster. No, I kid. I really like premiums. I'll happily answer that. First was Orcs. Second was what would be the closest thing to it would be like support mage, but it was just a really bad deck that didn't really have an identity. And then my third one was Rage Archer.
The first one I tried to make was Time to Fight Battle Mage, and I got like 98% of the way done. And then I went and I started playing Assassin heavily, and I was like, oh, shiny, and I'll try to make Assassin. And that one is now most of the way done, but then I said, ooh, shiny, and I started playing Sorcerer, and my Sorcerer deck is all premium now. So I've got like 3 or 4 that are mostly done. Like Assassin is just missing a couple of Legends, and I think Mournhold Traders. Sorcerer is all the way done, but...
Even those Worm Kings?
Even those Worm Kings. All 3 of them.
Charmer has premium Gerald. Charmer has premium Gerald Foragers. We crafted them on stream one night.
I'm really tempted to make Scuttlers.
Yeah, the card that does stone nothing.
It's a body. You can put items on it.
So
I mean that's true.
Nasdaq says, do you think Direwolf is intentionally avoiding hero power / planeswalker mechanics, therefore deck manipulations is the only thing they're willing to design around?
To your first point, yes.
I imagine that's a Hearthstone thing. I never.
It is, yeah.
It.
If you're not familiar, Ray, in Hearthstone there are 10 classes, and each class has a hero power that you spend 2 mana to activate, and they do something. But a bunch of those do like 1 damage to something on the board in one shape or form, right? So I know that in the past, the developers for this game have said that the presence of those hero powers oftentimes limits design space, because if you want to make a cool or interesting creature but it only has 1 health, 9 times out of 10 you know it's not going to see play, because with the hero powers, when like 2/3 of your classes can just ping it for free without even investing a card into it, nobody will play it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think there's enough class identity without introducing that into it. But I feel like it could see, some love in TESL, perhaps in another way.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be something from a card. Like a card would have to give that effect.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Which I
agree.
guess, which I guess is what all cards do in a sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
so activated support.
I was going to say, the presence
Yeah.
of activated supports, I think, already gives them design space to say, like, here, make your own, like, hero power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like they're used once a turn. They're usually expensive, or at least, they're usually expensive. So I think they're quite balanced as well. Although I really hate being soft locked by support mage. I really do.
I've kind of stopped playing support mage since it got, more popular. No, I've moved on to support crusader.
Okay, like rage kind of vibe.
I mean, with or without rage. I'm really just looking to do dumb shit with Volendorm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, interesting question that I know
Yeah.
I know how this is going to go, but we're going to go down this rabbit hole anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Should I open
Redbeard
Reddit?
asks, what do each of you like to put on your burgers? I'll start with Justin.
I don't eat meat.
I'll go next. It has been over 2 years since I've had a burger.
Yeah.
So, not a lot.
Yep.
So I guess it's up to me to spice up this party. I am quite poor and I will eat anything. I don't.
These are all great answers.
But I was a chef for like 10 years, and if I had a choice,
Yeah.
I really like lamb.
Man,
I really like lamb.
that's fair.
Although, there are some really good vegetarian options in terms of like, I think zucchini works particularly well for
Oh, I love
for
fried zucchini.
vegetable patties.
I agree.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had some black bean patties that were really good. Yeah,
I don't like black beans, man. I can't get behind it.
it's good, man. It's good.
I
Yeah,
legitimately
they're
feel like
popular around my way.
there's
Mushroom and Swiss. I like to do that.
Yeah, I hear you. This is a question about mill decks here.
Okay.
Hoonding says, do you think Direwolf is deliberately designing the game in such a way that mill decks won't be feasible, i.e. cards like Journey to Southern Guard, Skiva Infestation, Elusive Schema?
So I've won one game in the history of my playing Legends by... No, actually, that's not true. For the longest time, it was one, and then lately playing Support Mage, I've done it a few more times. But I've only won like 2 or 3 games ever by drawing out my opponent's deck. Like, it's just really hard. And I think that, like, it's a bad business move, which is crazy. I was thinking about this, but, like, 50-card decks, like... if you're going to have your opponent draw out your deck on the mobile client, like, you're going to kill like 33% of their battery in that amount of time.
Yeah. So
Like,
That's true. And long games where you lose in a way that's not interactive is just not very fun.
yeah, even more so, like, I'll go a step further, right?
Yeah.
I'm an old Magic player. I loved playing Mill. I went to a standard tournament where I played a Snow White deck where I had more draws on the day than I had wins or losses, right?
Was this Proclamation of Rebirth or whatever?
No, like this was like
Martyr proc.
No, there was like basically the entire deck was like Wrath of Gods, Fogs, and Life Gain, and then there was like this giant that you could use to stick him back on top of your library, and you literally just like waited your opponent out and hoped they conceded or whatever, right? Like
the one where like you skip your next turn and put him on top of your deck.
Yes. So you would literally just be like, all right, I skipped my turn, and then like you would. But so anyway, as fun as being an asshole is sometimes, right? And like you can do that in a face-to-face setting, I think a little bit better, in like more casual settings. The truth is, that's not the sort of thing you want to proliferate. People aren't going to have fun if the meta is ever in a situation where you go into a game knowing that this is, one, going to take a long time, and two, that it's not going to be very interactive. It's literally just like I'm trying to wait out my opponent. You know what I mean? So I don't think that they're ever looking for... Like, if they do start supporting True Mill, you'll see it be pretty aggressive. It'll be like, put 10 cards in your graveyard or something like that. But in that case, I don't think that... So one, like, Journey to Sovngarde isn't going to stop that, because that's one card out of your deck, and if they mill that, then you're hosed anyway. So I don't think that the existence of those cards is them saying, like, we don't want it to be a thing. I'm saying it's the lack of cards that actually mill that tells us that they don't want that to be an archetype. Also, one last thing. I saw somebody mention Elusive Schemer. Elusive Schemer doesn't help you stop milling. It puts more schemers into your deck, but the minute you play an Elusive Schemer, you draw one. So, all it does is create dead draws for you.
I will say that like Skeever Infestation is the kind of card that would exist if mill was a viable strategy. Like, you need counters. You know, you can't have. I mean, like Skeever Infestation is not an evidence of it either way, in my opinion.
I actually have been playing quite a bit of Skeever Infestation. Like, being honest with myself, like, I think it was 2 days ago. Like, I wasn't winning much, but also just wasn't having fun. I was like, oh, okay, I'm feeling a bit burnt out.
Yeah.
So I just started playing fun decks.
Yeah. I can appreciate that.
Now I am trying to get back to top X.
Right. Hey, I hate to cut this off, but like I have to get going. Like I got class tomorrow early as shit, and I got a long drive in the morning.
Fair enough.
You guys are welcome to keep going if you want to, but I have to go to sleep.
No, I think we're
I'd kind of feel like I was cheating, like it was, like.
Yeah, I mean we're in a good spot to wrap up, and if I'm being honest, like I'm dead. Like, I'm sitting here with a raging headache, so I'm going to go take some more flu meds and probably pass out. But this was obviously fantastic. Ray's always amazing.
Yes.
So, yeah, thank you both so much for having me.
We should have you...
If anybody feels like watching some competitive Test Legends in about 11 hours, check out the TCS channel for the top 32.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we'd love to have you back after the expansion drops, and people have come up with some new decks to have like a discussion about what the meta ended up looking like.
Yeah.
It will. Sounds great. We've got a few ideas on the boiler actually.
Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say.
We also.
And then I was gonna talk over Justin again.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna just set proper expectations. We've been in talks with, and I do not want to miss out on getting Ian Bits on.
Yes.
Jelly on, and
yes.
CVH is also open to making a return. So in the near future, look for those people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some pretty cool guests lined up in future weeks. So if one of your favorite streamers or players is coming by, make sure you check that out as well. And you can always find that information out on our Twitters, I guess.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Spanish drop guy soon enough.
Yeah, we're within striking distance of one of the drop farms right now.
Excellent.
Dude, that's my favorite part of the interview with Matt and AJ was when I said, "Hey man, so I've streamed like 6 times now. I'm basically a celebrity, but every time I stream, I get beat by the fucking drop farms."
So this could obviously drag on. So quickly. What?
Yeah.
They get it? Did it? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Short answer, yes.
Cool.
We can talk more about it off here if you want to.
Oh no, not like that. I just thought I would a little for the audience, you know.
They get it, and there are plans in motion to incentivize watching live streams. So
That's good. The banished boys leave no stone unturned.
that's right.
You.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, we do our best.
That's right.
All right, so I guess we will see you on the ladder, right, gang? We love you all.
We'll see you all on the ladder. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned all week to all your favorite content creators because there will be spoilers for the next several days.
Absolutely. Much love to all and sundry. Also all. Sundry as well.
Mazel tov.
Sayonara.
Nice.
Arrivederci.
Bella notte.
See you later, mate.
Yeah.